Right, so I'm just going to make sure I'm connected. Been a bit of a nightmare trying to get home today. There we are. There we are, so if anybody's on, please say hello or type in hello. And if you're not on, I will continue at 4 o'clock. So we've just about got home in time to do this. Traffic and all sorts of other things causing problems, and the last minute couple of customers, which is fine. So if you're on, say hello. Hi everyone, who's on? So today, I know you can't see that very much, so I'll try and get that so you can see that. Okay, so this is the topper sheet I'm going to be using today, and then there's 2 backing cards that come with it as well. Okay, and it's called the Coastal Retreat. Okay, so that's the one I'm using today. So it's a hunky-dory kit, but what I'm doing, it usually says on the original one, so that's the full kit. On the original one it says, "Hi Annette, how are you today?" So on the thing says makes at least 2 cards. Now if you're using the base cards then as cards and just folding in half, then obviously that's 2 cards you're going to get. But the way I work, the way my mind works, is I tend to take lots of different bits and work it in different areas to make a lot more cards. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to get 7 cards out of this topper sheet. Okay, so it's just showing you how to manipulate sort of things that you have. Oh, I'm glad you're over that, Annette. Annette's had COVID and she's over it now, so that's very good news, Annette. We've got quite a few people out at the moment at the shop that haven't been able to come in because they've got it as well, so it does seem to be getting a bit more at the moment. Okay, so this is what I'm going to show. So it's the Picturesque Pastimes and it's the Coastal Retreat toppers that I'm going to be using today. Okay, I'm going to show you what I do to get there. So first of all, what I'm going to do, and it is 4 o'clock now, so I will get started. So if you're on, just type in hello. But first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to sort out the card bases, okay, because we're going to be doing 7 in this. So I thought if I show you how to do the card bases, then we can sort out what's going to go on, and I can show you how that is sorted out as well. Okay, so first things first, the first card that I would do would be an A5. Okay, so what I would do is take an A4 piece of card, pop it onto my scoreboard on the centimetre side and score it at 15 centimetres. Now when you score a piece of card like that, the groove goes downwards, so you should push that fold upwards, and that will stop any of your card from cracking. Okay, so this is 300 grams super smooth. So that is for my first card, which I'm going to pop that to the back. I'm going to try and keep all these card bases in shot as well. Okay, so that's my A5. Then I'm going to do a DL card base. So with the DL card base, I'm going to take a sheet, the guillotine, pop my A4 300 gram super smooth in. I'm going to cut it to 20 centimetres first. Okay, and then this piece of card, which is 20 by 21, we score at 10 centimetres. Okay, So what I'm going to do then is do that, and that is a DL card. I'm going to pop that to the side there as well. Okay, so I'll keep them there. So I know we all like to try and utilise as much as we possibly can. Hi Teresa, how are you? So that's all I've done is an A5 card base, and if you've got packs of A5 cards and DLs and stuff like that, you can just use them as well, okay? You don't have to do this. The piece that's come off the DL card, I'm actually going to pop into the DL card for now, okay? And then the third card is an A6. It's an A6 card. So first thing I'm going to do is take an A4 again, pop it in portrait, going to cut that to 10.5. Okay, and then pop it on that way and score it at 15, just like I did the other way. Now instead of having a tent fold A6, I've actually got one that stands up like a normal folded card. So I'm going to pop that to the side there as well. So you can see these card bases building up, and I'm just going to pop this with that as well. So again, fourth card, and you can watch this video back and it'll tell you everything again. So fourth card will be an A5 lengthwise card. Now to get this one, I'm going to bring in an SRA 3-piece of 300 gram white. Okay, and the first thing I'm going to do is score this. I put it on my scoreboard. I'm going to score this at 19.5 centimeters. Okay, go all the way, and then I'm going to fold that up. Like I said, if you're scoring, your score face is pointing down, you groove, then score it away from that, and that stops it cracking. Then I'm going to put this in open side there, and I'm going to cut at 19.5 centimeters, and then turn it so you've got that flat bit there, and pop the flat bit under and cut it to 19.5 centimeters as well. Now what that does, it gives us an 8x8 card. Now if you've got an 8x8 card, that would be 20 by 20. I like to cut mine to 19.5 to 19.5, and it goes in the envelope a lot easier. Okay, so I'm going to pop that to the side. But the fourth card that I would use would actually be this waist piece here. So that's all I'm going to do is cut that to 19.5 as well. And that'll give me my A5 lengthways. Okay, slightly shorter, but I'm not worried about that. So that's that card. And then any bits I'm just going to pop to the side. Okay, so that's that one. So we've now got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 card bases. And we're going to be doing 7. It is a gorgeous day, Teresa, isn't it? So then I'm going to do an A4 card, which will be, so we're going to cut it, so it's a 6x6 gatefold. So I'm going to pop an A4 in portrait, push it into 15 centimeters, cut that piece off, put that to the side. So this is 15 by just under 30. I'm going to pop it on my scoreboard. I'm just going to move it a little bit to the right, so there's centralised between the 30 and that little nodule. And I'm going to score at 7.5 and 22 and a half, so that's 21, 22 and a half. Okay, and then when I fold that over and fold these, this will give me my gatefold card. Okay, so I've now got a gatefold standing 6x6 card. So I'm going to pop that to the side. And then the last shape card we're going to do will be, it's A5, but we're trimming it so it's got a little overlap on the front. So we're going to pop it in this way, landscape, and we're going to cut it to 26.5 centimetres. And then we're going to pop it on, and we're going to score it at, then place on score and score at 11.5 centimetres. Okay, and then fold that up, and that will give us an A5 card which has a smaller front than the back. Okay, so these are just all my card bases. Okay, so that is now all my scoring. So I know that seemed a little bit long-winded, but that is for 7 cards. Okay, great to get back to basics. Yes. Yeah, that's the problem when you do 8x8 cards, Teresa. The envelopes are not always the right size for them. So I tend to cut my 8x8s to 19.5 square. Just take a little bit off the top or the bottom and off the folded edge, the open edge. And then I get a 19.5 by 19.5 centimetre card then, which is easier to sort of work with then. And if you put in layers on the card, it helps for them to go back into the envelope a lot easier as well. But it's great to get back to basics. I understand that completely. So now we've done the card bases, I want to show you what I've done. And this is all something I sorted out yesterday. So to have a nice day, just sorting a few things out is a good way of getting the most out of your kits. Okay, so if I show the sheets first. So I've cut everything at the moment, but literally that was one sheet. Okay, so it was a backing sheet. It's a backing sheet, it had this along the edge, and then it had this ship and everything on the one side. I put a little bit of tape on this because this little piece here I'm not actually using. Okay, but I've got a little strip there, got a big piece there, and I've got these, and I'll sort of show sizes on them later. So that was one of the backing cards. Okay. And then this was the other backing card. Now, when you see this backing card, it's got one image of that side, it's got another image of that side, it's got grooves and stuff along the top. And basically, you've got 2 images there. I've got 2 triangular pieces there. I've got 4 little bits there. I've got 2 end bits, and I've got this little image here. This bit was just waste. Okay, I didn't use that, and I got to these 2 pieces here. So all these were cut, and I'll tell you how I work this out now. And then this was the actual topper sheet. Okay, so this was the bit that was actually going up the side, which I just cut off to sort of use. Didn't use it on any of the cards, but all these have got different layers. Okay, and these are just stuck onto this piece of paper in exactly the way they were on the kit. Okay, so if I bring in that sheet, you can see everything is the same. Border, sentiment, there's an image under there with a little mini, there's this sentiment here, and then you've got all these here. So everything that was on there is actually there now. Okay, so these was them. So what I did first of all I actually decided, so when I did card 1, which was my A5 card base, I decided what I wanted to use first. Okay, so I'm going to push that to the side and I'm going to bring this card in. So what I decided is what I wanted this border down the side. So I decided to cut this completely off to one side. So I put it in my guillotine and cut it. Put it in my guillotine, took the whole sheet in, put it in, and I cut that to 14 centimeters. Okay, cut it 14 centimeters, and then I cut it by, and I turned it around and cut it to 20. Okay, and that gave me this piece here to go on this card. Okay, and it also gave me a little strip as well. Okay, now little strip will come for later, so I'm just going to put that back there. Okay, and then I also worked out all my mirror cards, what they were going to cut out of, all my sizes, and the way I did that was actually just cut, first of all I actually cut pieces of paper, thin paper, just to work out what size mat and layers I wanted, and then I knew exactly how I was going to cut all my sheets. Okay, these are just all on by a little piece of tape. So this is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I've worked it all out, and I'm actually going to recut these, and I'm actually going to recut the whole kit again anyway. Okay, but just to show you, that's how I work out my kits and stuff. I actually do work out what I want. I mark with maybe a pencil on the backgrounds just to work out what panels I need. When I knew I wanted to use this image, I actually took a panel I wanted to use with it and then cut it to that size as well. Okay, so that's how I came to everything. So first things first, let me show you, and I can give you some sizes then. Okay, so A5 card, I've got my panels, and I've got my backing cards, and I've got my panels, which I'm going to put there, and I've got my panels there, and I'm going to start with this card. So an A5 card base, now and then it makes me money bullets. Yes, it does. Yes, it does make money wallets. So yeah, so Teresa said yes, me too. Now she cuts her 8x8, and the little bit that comes off makes money wallets. Okay, and I don't always, people needs inspiration too. Yes, so everybody needs inspiration from now and then. Even sometimes I look for it as well. So I'm going to take a sheet of red card and pop it in portrait, and I'm going to cut at 14.5 by 20.5. And that is going to go on there. I'm just going to grab some glues, because I've put these cards together, and I will actually post photos as well onto our Valley Crafters page, showing all 7 cards later as well. So 14.5 by 20.5. As I said, I then took my backing paper and I cut it to 14 by 20, which will give me that backing card. Just going to take my low tack tape off, and that gives me that. So I'm just going to construct the cards and give you sizes as I'm going, okay? And hopefully you can see then how everything has come together. So I'm just going to place a few things around the table here. Dun, dun, dun. Like I said, we were a bit late leaving the shop today because we had a few late entrance customers, which was fine. Customers are customers. So that's why I'm a little out of sync at the moment. But so this was my first bit of card that I've done. So 14 and a half by 20 and a half for the red, and then 14 by 20 off the edge of my backing card. I pop that on there. Okay, and then on the instructions it says cut left hand edge 14 by 20, which is what we did there, and then a piece of red card. So I'm going to take a little piece of red card, I'm going to cut that 11 by 11. Okay, so 11 by 11. Okay, so that is our 11 by 11. And then we also need a piece that's 14 by 1.5. So out of the extra bit on the left, I'm going to cut 1.5 by 14. And I never throw any of the little bits that come off out because they might come for the next cards. Okay, so there's a strip of 14 by 1.5, and then I also need a piece that's 2.5 by 11. So I've already got that's 11. And that's 2.5. Okay, so that is that and that is that. So I've now got my 3 pieces of red for this card. And then from my topper kit it says take the corner that has 2 red dots. So we take the 2 red dots. So that's the outer frame of this top left one. And it does sort of give you the idea of how to utilise all the bits then from different cards. Okay, so that's that one. So that will fit on there. And then it also says from the same backing so it says from the same backing card then, so we've already cut a bit off. Okay, it says to cut these bolts out. Alright, so we've already cut that bit off. So out of this packet then, we just take that, put our bolt in that way, and we're going to cut that to 10.5 by 10.5. So what we do, we put it in, we cut it to 10.5, which will give us that piece. Okay, and then we pop it in that way and we cut it to 10.5 again, and that gives us our image. Okay, so there's lots of fiddly bits on this, but it does help to work it out. So again, this will actually go over the image first. Now, I don't want these little corners to stick out. So you can see the corners are sticking out. So what I would do is just take a scissors and just cut away those corners. Okay, and that gives us our topper. Okay, and then when we pop that on there, it's got more of the red curvy corners. Okay, so that's there. We're also going to use the sentiment that says, sit back, relax and enjoy your day. Okay, so that's that. And the strip that came off the first end of that backing card when we cut this thing, we're going to use that as well. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to mat and layer that on there, which will go edge to edge. Okay, that needs to be cut to 13.5. Yes, it's always a good thing to, keep any little bits, because they'll always come in handy for another card, because you'll always find something you want it for. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to stick this bit on there. So I'm just using our own pick and mix card and just pop in a few mat and layers. Put the sentiment onto the piece of red that I cut earlier as well. So that's that bit. So that's them. I'm going to stick this image to the middle of my red. So if you want some depth on these cards, then obviously you can use foam tape, foam pads, you know, this is entirely up to you. Okay, and I'm actually going to use a little bit of foam tape on this one. Just to give the frame a little lift. So I just put a little bit on like so. And I love these viscose scissors, they're absolutely fantastic. They're spring loaded. It is an absolute gorgeous set. there's in the garden and stuff like that. This one is quite a nautical one and a bit of a resting seaside one. The fact that they're gold foiled as well is lovely. So what I'm going to do, taken the foam pad off them. I'm actually going to just lay over the top. And if you're wary about putting these fine things down, put some glue on the top first, or on the back of the foam pads, and then stick them down. Okay. So now I have this, I'm going to pop this down flat. So centralising it into my topper, and I could have put this on foam pads as well, if I wanted to. I'm going to stick the little border that came off the bottom there. I'm going to turn it around so we get these honeycomb things this side, and then on the back of this I'm actually going to put some foam pads. Sometimes foam pads can be a bit of a nightmare to get the back off, so let me give you a little tip. If you've got a pokey tool, just stick your pokey tool in and pull it, and what it'll do, it'll separate the back in from the foam tip. Then we're going to put this across the top there. It's actually the same width as the image at the top as well. So I'm just centralising that. I'm just going to sit it there, make sure it's square, and then push it down. So that is the first card from the set. Okay. So it said, sit back, relax and enjoy your day. It's got some ships there which are just moored on sand, and it's got all that sort of gold mirror. Yeah, they're very nice scissors. They've also got a lock on them to stop them from opening. And then with the spring there, it's very easy to use. Okay, so that is card number 1. So pretty quick. Okay, clear decks. And then we're going to go into card number 2. So card number 2 was going to be our DL card. So this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to go through a card at a time and just show you what we're going to use. Okay, so remember now we have this piece left and this piece left from the first full A4 backing card, okay, which is adorable scoreable. So we're going to pop that to the back, and we still have the whole other sheet of card, and we've also got what's left on the topper sheet. Okay, so there's the topper sheet, there's the backing card, so there's still quite a bit to use. So when I made this card out of an A4, I had a piece of white that dropped off. Okay, so that's fine, we're going to use that. So out of this spare bit of white, we're going to cut a piece, I'm going to pop it in portrait, put it to 8.5 centimetres, and cut that. And then we're going to turn it so it's landscape and cut it to 19.5. Okay, So again, I don't throw any pieces of the card out because that might come in handy for later. Okay. So that is to go on there later. And then from the second backing card, so what we're going to do on this card now, so that's how they are. So you've got one image there, you've got ships on this side. So we turn it around so the ships are to the left, and we pop it in, and we cut it to 7.5 centimeters. Okay, and when we cut it to 7.5 centimeters, it gives us a whole sheet that comes down like this. Okay, so you get a whole sheet that comes down like that. Okay, so what I then did, I turned that around, popped it into my trimmer, and I cut the stripes off here. Okay, then cut top and bottom stripes off at 3 centimeters. So when you push it in, push it to 3 centimeters, and that will drop off the top. And then you turn it around and you cut 3 centimeters off the bottom. Okay, so that will give you those 2 pieces there. Okay, and I'm not worried about the spots being slightly different. That just adds to the effect on the card. And then from this one then, because obviously this is a little bit longer when it's come from in between there. Okay, we're going to pop it in with the ships towards the left, and we're going to cut it to 10.5 centimeters like that, and then turn it so the ships are to the top, pop it in and cut it to 7 centimeters. So when these go on the card later, they'll go on a bit like that. Okay, so they'll go on that bit of card like that. And then we're going to also use the smallest birthday wishes sentiment off of that. Okay, which will go down here later. And then we're going to cut some mirror card. Okay, so the mirror card we bring in. Okay. And then we cut a piece of mirror card, we're going to pop that in landscape. We're going to cut it at 9 centimeters by 20 centimeters. Okay, so that is my mirror card. So I have that there. So that is going to matte and layer that there. And then we need to cut some more red. Okay. So I'm going to take another sheet of red, and I'm going to cut a piece red pieces at 3.5 centimeters by 8. So we have one. Two of them. So that's what they're going to be matte and laid onto. Okay. We also then need a piece for our birthday wishes, okay, which will come after that bit. And then we also need a piece for, so that's, yes, that's 2.5 by 5, okay. So we've got 2.5 by 5, which it already is, and then that goes on there. That's our sentiment. And then we also need a piece then that's 9.5 by 20.5, and a piece that's 8 by 11.5. So the 8 by 11.5 should come out of this piece. Yep, 8 by 11.5. So now I've almost used all the red pieces from before. That's going to be on there. And then another red piece at the 9.5 by 20.5. And that'll give us our matte layer for all of these. Okay. And then we're going to use off our topper piece. Off our topper piece, we're going to take this outer frame from the red port cabin thing at the top. Okay. Yeah, the squizzers, I know, great for holidays and that, these cards, and great for men's cards, because we always struggle with men's cards because we never know what to do, but these have got some nice, really nice images. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to start, so what I've done, I've taken the topper from the red, taken the frame from the red cabin thing there, and what I'm going to do now is start layering up the card. Okay, so I start with my red. Okay, which was 9.5 by 20.5, so 9.5 wide by 20.5 tall. Then I had mirror card. Now with alcohol glue, sometimes it can show through mirror card, so I just keep away from the edges because I won't be going close to the edges. So I'll be covering that, and that goes on there. And that gold piece, the mirror key piece, was 9 centimeters wide by 20 centimeters tall. Then I had a white piece, which I shall tell you the size of now. Was 8.5 centimeters wide. So 8.5 centimeters wide by 19.5 centimeters tall. Okay. Then we had our stripes for the red from the top of the backing card, and a piece of red that was 3.5 by 8 centimeters. And we have 2 of them. So that's going to go on there. So I'm trying to put this aside, so I'm hoping, I'm not looking at my comments as much as I usually do, but I'm hoping Gavin is sorting that out for you. Okay, if I want to do it, I could put these on foam pads, which I think I will. Okay. just cutting some of my foam pads in half. 1, 2. And I'm going to place one at the top there, leaving a nice white border. I'm going to take the second one, and fit that on so that the red stripes are pointing up towards the top from the bottom and pointing from the bottom down at the top. So stripes at the bottom, stripes at the top. Put my topper onto my little matting layer there. A little matting layer for that is a tiny one. Okay, so just put that on. And I fit that in the centre of that one now. So that's my sentiment. And then I have the same sort of thing with this frame. Okay, when I bring this gold frame on to my image, it's actually going to have the corners showing. So I don't actually want them showing. So what I'm going to do is just take my squizzers and cut them corners away from underneath. And this time on this one, I'm actually going to put the frame on flat. Okay. So I'm just doing a little bit of PVA glue. Got a very fine nozzle to this one. I'm just going to fit that to my toppers there. Okay, so you can see, you can't see any corners facing that. And then I'm going to put that on foam pads. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to pop that in the centre of my red, so I'll just bring my head in there a minute. Okay, and then I'm also going to pop that onto foam pads as well. Okay, Teresa, well, she's okay. See you again soon. Okay. Okay, so now that is on there, on the red. I can now bring that in. Okay, so I can bring that in and put it in there. That's what I want to do. Just going to make sure it lines up. Make sure it leaves a little bit of white in between. And that is our second card. So what I would do is put a bit of maybe string or rope up here, or a couple of gems, okay, a couple of pearls, just to add a little something at the top. That's the second card, okay. And they're quite nice cards as well. So they're quite solid. So we've got stripes, red stripes. So we've got all the mirror card in it as well. So I think that's a lovely card. Okay. I love the squizzes as well, Donna. So there's a lot of cards, but as we start going through, they get a little bit easier. And Gavin is sitting out in the sun, enjoying it, enjoying this lovely weather he is. Okay, so for the next card, so I've done first card, second card. Third card now is the A6 card base. Okay, now this is an A4 piece. I've cut it at 10.5 centimeters portrait, like that. That took it in half, and then I took one of the halves and scored it at 15 and folded it. Okay, so that's an A6, but it's an A6 that's not a 10-fold. Okay, because I find the 10-folds got a tendency to open up a little bit every so often. So there's my 10-fold card. There's my A6 normal fold card, and I've also got a bit of scrap here as well. Okay. I'll just get a piece of white, then cut a piece at 5.5 by 2.5. Okay, so I'm going to cut 2.5 by 5.5. Okay, so that's one little piece. Okay, cut a piece of red card, so I'm going to bring in the piece I had left earlier, and we need to cut a piece of red to 10 by 14.5. So I'm going to pop that in landscape, cut it at 10 by 14.5. Okay, so that's that layer there. Take the backing card from the boat with the top of the building on. Okay, so when we had, this was the first backing paper we used. Remember I said that was the bit I put a bit of tape on because I knew that was spare. We're actually going to take this piece, which I've at that top of the building, okay, and we're going to use that. So the only piece I'm not using from the first backing card is actually that piece there that's got a few little waves that came off the board at the bottom. Okay, so what we did with this, we just made sure the building was to the left, the top of the building. Maybe a bit at the top. And cut it to, so we cut that to 9.5 like that first, with the building there. And then we turned it so the building was at the top left, and we cut that to 14 centimeters, which cut that at 14. And all the bits of drop off are then used nothing. So that then gives us that. But it gives a little bit of interest on that corner of the card. Okay, so that's that. That is that little piece there. Okay, and then what we're going to do, just getting the picture of that card up so I know where I'm going. That's that one. Right, so then what we're going to do, we're going to take in, so this was card 3, take the backing card from the board with the top of the building on it and cut it to 9.5 by 14. Cut a piece of mirror card, so I've still got my mirror card here, look. Get a piece of milk card to 3 by 6 centimetres. So 3 by 6. So I'll just pop it in, cut it to 3, turn it, cut it to 6. That will mat and layer this piece of white, which I will actually stamp a sentiment on. And we've still got all our mirror card there. Then on my instructions it says to just take the frame with the white spots. Okay, so the frame with the white spots is not the outer one on the bottom right, but the next one. Hope everybody is okay tonight and is just enjoying just watching somebody else. Hope you have a glass of wine. Nobody hasn't yet, but I'm sure there will be one a little bit later. And he said, I hope there's a glass of wine in Gavin's hand while he's in the garden. So what I've done, I've taken the inner frame from the bottom right hand corner of the topper sheet. And I'm also going to take the red cabin topper sheet from the top right, okay? And these two are going to be used within this card, okay? So first things first, we're going to take the white spot blue corner frame. And I'm going to take the white piece with the building. I'm just going to place this flat onto there. Again, I'm going to use my fine nozzle glue because it oozes nicely out of this. This glue dries rather quick and it doesn't actually leave any bumps or things on it either. So what I'm going to do is just take it over. I'm going to mat and layer it on there. Place that on so it's got the same amount of white to the left as it has to the top bottom. Okay, so that's that. Then we're going to put glue on the back of that. And we're going to stick that to the red. Like I said, some of these cards, very simple and very easy to do, but it's just knowing where to take those bits from and utilising as much of those cards that you can on the toppers. Okay, so that's that. Then on the red porta cabin shed type thing, we're going to put some foam pads. Grab another load. So I'm just cutting some of these in half because they're big square ones. I'm just going to put 2, I'll put 4 on this one, just to make sure that it doesn't bow down in the middle. There we are. I'm going to keep that one to the side. So is everybody okay tonight? I'm going to have the guillotine in the shop cabin, and so yes, we do have the guillotine in the store. I think it's a different colour to the one I've got, but it's exactly the same as the one I've got. It's just a different colour, that's all. I'm sure Gavin will probably send you a link for the guillotine. So what I'm going to do, I've taken the foam pads off the backing off the foam pads, and I'm just going to centralise that into that blue frame and get it as even as I can top and bottom as well. Said if you're wary about putting things down without glue, then please do sort that out as well. Okay. Now, with this, I would just stamp a sentiment on there. But what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you where I'm going to put it. I'm going to put a foam pads on the back of that. I'm going to put that there. That's where it hangs up over the red. I'm going to try and centralise it a bit as well. There. So I've got that there. I would just stamp a simple sentiment on there, happy birthday or get well soon, and then that would actually fit on there. Okay, I won't stamp that tonight because obviously we all know how to stamp a little bit anyway, but I will put that on there and I will stamp that after, and I will show you that. So I will pop that back in there. So that is the third card. Okay, so that's a nice little card, just as a little thank you. Okay, so that's that. So I'm going to pop that to the side. Thank you for all the likes and the loves. So with the next card, it's an A5 lengthways. Okay, so if you remember earlier on at the beginning, I took an A3 piece of card, which is slightly bigger, scored it at 19.5. I folded it and then placed that in my guillotine that way and cut it at 19.5, and then cut the overlap at 19.5, which gives me a big 8x8 card. And then it also gives me this piece, which I cut to 19.5, which gives me this card base. Okay, now this is a little smaller than A5, but I'm actually going to do it as an A5 card. Okay, I'm actually going to do that as an A5 card. So I'm going to pop that card base to the side so you can still see it on camera. Okay, and on the A5 card we're going to use this Life's One Big Adventure little topper from here. Okay, we're also going to use the outer frame of these two boats at the top left. So we're going to use them as well. So that's that and that's that. So we've got them two, so we'll pop them to the side there. And then we need to go to the backing card that we had left earlier. So when we took the bits off the backing card earlier, it would have got cut down to that size. Okay, so that would have been the backing card. Okay, so what we got left of this backing card is the stripe across the top. It looks a bit different because of the way I've cut it, and we've also had these sort of two bits here which I'm going to cut as one. Okay, so first things first, A5 lengthways card using scrap white from A3 card. So prepare your 8x8 card. So we did the bases, and then we're going to cut some red card. Okay, so the red card we need is 19 by 12. So let's have a look what size that is. So that's 16.5. So I just go into a second piece of card. Okay, so 19 by 12. So if I do 12 first and then cut the 19 after, that is my first matten layer there, so you can see that. Okay, But then I also need a piece that's 12 by 2. Now that is already 12 and that is already 2. So when I cut that piece, I've actually ended up with my 12 by 2 anyway. Okay, so you get the 2 pieces from that. Okay, so 12 by 2. And then we also need a piece that's 11 by 11. Okay, now remember I had a piece earlier on which was small enough for that. Okay, which actually was 11. I can actually cut that to 11. So these are pieces from earlier on now. So that's 11 by 11. So we have that there. And then we're going to cut some mirror card. Now I still have my mirror card from earlier as well. Okay, so there's my mirror card that I had left from earlier. I'm going to cut a piece that's 18.5 by 11.5. Now I know that isn't 18.5, it's 17.5. So what I would do is actually cut the 11.5 this way, and then cut that way at 18.5, and that would give me my matten layer on my card base again. Then we need a piece that is 2.5 by 12.5. So I'm just going to check that. Just going to check this card, mirror card. So some of the pieces are dropped off from earlier. Cut that to 2.5 by 12.5. Okay, and that is going to be matten layer of that red. Okay. And then we need a white piece. So again, from the 7 sheets of white that I had earlier, I've got some spare. So I'm going to cut that to 11 by 18. Which will give me a matten layer on top of that gold. And then we need a strip which is 1.5. So the best way to do 1.5, if you can't get a 1.5, is see what size your card is, cut it to an even number, or that's on 18.5, and then I cut it to 17.5, which will give me that 1.5 centimetre strip. And then I'm not wasting too much of that, and that needs to be 11.5 centimetres. So that then will be for a sentiment in there. Yep. And that, and then it says you're on, yes, on the backing card here it says place in, so you have your pattern to the side. Yeah. Stripe backing card, cut left hand edge to 10.5 centimetres. Okay, so what you do, you cut that to 10.5 centimetres. Off the backing card, that'll give you that left, and that'll give you that. Okay, but we need to make these 10.5 centimetres as well, so you just turn it around and you cut it to 10.5. Okay, obviously I'd already cut them, but I was just showing how you do that. So you can see that's why I've stuck them on there. And that has given me two squares now that are 10.5 centimetres, and they've come from the same image. Okay. So we, on this card, are going to use the top end of that piece, and we're going to put this back with our topper. Okay, so now we have this. So first things first, we're going to start building the card. Okay, so first things first, we're going to put these 3 layers on top of each other. So this was the red, oops, which was 19 by 12. Then we had the mirror card. And I've actually worked out the cost of all of this used if you bought the envelopes, all the card, all the pack of the kit, you know, with these 2 cards and the topper, then it would actually come to around £9 to cover all of this. Okay, so that's £9 for 7 cards, which I think is rather pretty good. Okay, so that is my matte layer there. Now I want to fit this on into an A5 envelope. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring in a piece of A4 scrap card, just fold it in half, and I'm going to place this underneath. So it's level along the bottom, and that'll give me a height of where I can go with the height. Okay, so I'm going to bring in this and the image and put them together. Okay, so that's that. I'm also going to fit this on the flat. Again, I'm going to use the PVA. I don't know if any of you have any questions about anything. Like, why did I decide to do this, or okay, so I've stuck that on there. I'm going to put foam pads on the back of my little topper. I only need to put 2 on this one. I might go with 3. Might go with 3. Put one in the middle just to make sure. Okay, so I have my topper. Place that topper into the centre. So I have that topper there. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, oh dear, I'm going to sneeze. I'm going to turn this over so that the top is at the top, bottom's at the bottom. I'm going to turn it over, and I'm going to put it so it's just a little bit of white showing at the top there. Okay, and then that'll give me an idea of where to put my glue to fix this to the card. because I want this piece to stick up over the top. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to bring that in a little bit closer, and I'm going to centralize this to my card. I'm going to leave a little bit of white along the top. Just centralize that. Now I know that's in the right place, I can take that away, and I can just make sure that this is square. Because if it's not square, Gavin will tell me. Okay, so there's that. Actually sticks up over the edge, so you can see that there. And then I need to sort out my sentiment pieces. Okay, so with the sentiment again, this white piece will be for stamping the sentiment on, which I will actually do a little bit later, before I post the photos on Valley Crafters. Just going to fit my red onto my gold, and I'm going to fit some foam pads along the back. So I think 3 will be plenty. 1 in the centre, 1 either side. Just going to take the back ends off them. Okay, now with this one, I wanted this to be along the bottom, showing just a little bit of white between the two and central to that. So when that is there, and that is there, that is another card. Okay, so that's another card. There'll be a sentiment on that white piece later, and I will actually put something down the side, like a piece of string or a bit of rope, as if it's nautical. There's cars there as well, so I could even put a couple of cogs on it, or, you know, things to just embellish the card really. Thank you, Annette, and thank you, Donna, for the bless yous. Could feel that sneeze coming on. Okay, so that is now card number 4. So this is quite a marathon of cards. Okay, so then for the next card, we're going to take our big 8x8. Now I love doing 8x8s, 6x6s, 7x7s, and I love my A5 cards. Okay, so let's set this up to get going. So what size card is everybody's favourite? What size card do you prefer to do? And if you're not really a card maker, what's your favourite craft that you do? So, right, so with this one, card base, made area, kind of, and then we need to cut a piece of, so there's my card base. Can move that out of the way, so you can just see my card base to the side there. Cut a piece of red to 19 by 19. So let's see if that's 19. It's not. So that's fine. I bring in a second piece. So 19 by 19. Put that to the side because they'll come in handy. So this is the red piece for there. Then we need a piece that's 15.5 by 15.5. Now I know that will fit over there. So 15.5 by 15.5. So that's my second square of red. And then we need one that's 11 by 11. Let's have a look what size that is. That's under 11. So I need to bring in another sheet. By 11, 11 by 11, so that's the second square. And then we need one that's 7.5 by 2.5. Now I've got all sorts of bits here. Okay, some of them are not, oops, that's 2 centimeters, so I'm going to use this piece. So 2.5 by 7.5. And that's for the sentiment piece. Okay, so we've got these 4 square pieces like that. Well, the 4 pieces of red. Then we're going to cut mirror card. Okay. The mirror card, it says we need a piece that's 18.5 by 18.5 by 18.5. I know I haven't got a piece that's big enough, so I'm just going to take a second piece that I've got. So 18.5 by 18.5, and that is my first matting layer there. We then need to cut a piece of white that's 18 by 18. Let's see what white pieces I had left. Nope, what's that piece? There we are. So let's check that. Unfortunately that's 17, so I bring in my other piece of white. 18 by 18. That is going to fit on there. Then I need a piece that's 15 by 15. That's too narrow, but this piece isn't from earlier. So 15, 15. Okay, so that's going to fit on that one. Okay, use right. And then it says to come into our topper sheet. The topper sheet there. Okay, and it says that we're going to use frame large from bottom right topper. So we're going to use this bottom one that's got the 2 blue corners. Hi Dawn, how are you? Yeah, A5 and 8 by 8. Yeah, 8 by 8 is nice, and A5 square as long as it's square downstairs, so that's fine. So now I have that thing there. What I also need now is use frame large from bottom right topper, which is what I've just taken, and then use the congratulations on your retirement. So retirement cards, you usually want them to be quite nice and quite large, because usually a lot of people have to sign them. So there's my retirement sheet there. Okay. And again, when you have frames and stuff like that and you've got backgrounds, have a look at the frames. Because what I did, I had a look and went, oh look, that will fit around that deck chair and have some of the greenery and stuff like that. Okay, so take it to your backing cards and see what part of those images you want to use. And then make a note of what size you want to cut them out. And that's how I got to these sizes really. So I've got my sentiment. And then what else does it say? Congratulations. Use the deck chair piece from the back in. So we're going to use the deck chair piece, which is going to go behind there. Add a piece, left of backing card, cut to right there. So what it says then is what was left on the backing card. So this would have been the backing card. Now we can know that there's a bit of white there and a bit of white there and there. this would have been what was left of your backing card. Okay, it says to cut at 6 centimeters. Okay, and then gives you this piece here and this piece here. Okay, then what it says to do is to actually pop it in, and we're going to cut from the top and the bottom 1.5 centimeters. So what we then done, we put it in, we cut it at 19.5, which when we cut that, give us that little stripe piece from the top. Okay, which is that, and then we turn it around and we cut it at 18. Okay, which will then give us another stripe bit. Okay, and that's from that piece, and then from this piece do exactly the same. So cut at 19.5, which would give you one strip. Turn it around, cut it to 18, and that will give you the 4th strip. Okay, and then we're going to cut them so that they're all the same size. We're going to cut them down to 5 centimeters. Okay, and they will actually go underneath the corners at the top. It's just as a little decoration. Okay. Okay, I'll give you your 4 little topper corners for that. And then we still have a couple of pieces there. We have a piece in the middle, which is that size, and then we have a piece that's there. Okay, and we still got toppers and stuff on there as well. Okay, and then that is also going to be matte laid on there with a nice bit of red showing around the outer edge. So I think that's what it says then. Have this left and cut all to 5 centimeters long. Yeah. So this is where we now put the card together. So unfortunately, I can't see your comments now. Because my tablet has just run out of power. So what I'm going to do, that's fine. So I'm sure Gavin will answer your comments, and I will look back at your comments a bit later. Okay, so there's that one. We're then going to fit the mirror card on. Now if you want to be frugal, you can take a square die and cut a square out of the middle of that, so you're not wasting your mirror card. But for the sake of ease today, I'm not going to do that. Just going to lay that onto there. So that's your mirror card. So the red was 19 by 19. The gold maybe was 18.5 by 18.5, and then this white piece was 18 by 18. Okay, that's your first layer. This is a bit of a substantial card, this one as well. Okay, so that's our first layer. Then we have a second matte layer. Okay. I'll stick the white onto the red first. Then I'm going to take these little corners. Now Because this frame has got a blue top and bottom, what I'm going to do to offset that a little bit is the two pieces that's got red of these, I'm going to do that. So when you have these, they'll all be blue. I just cut them a little bit different earlier, but I then worked out that I needed to do them a different way. So, okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop that with the red in that corner. I'm going to pop that with the red in that corner. I'm just trying to keep them nice and square. So if you do get these little red corners, it doesn't matter. Okay, and then I'm going to get the blue stripes, plain blue stripes in the corners. So this is just adding a little extra decorative stuff. I had to cut them off, so I might as well have used them. Okay, so that's them. Just adds that little extra. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to put some foam pads on the back of this. And instead of cutting these, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then the two I've got left on here, I'm going to take them and just go like that. Because it's a rather large card, and large toppers, I want to make sure that it doesn't bow or sink or stuff like that. Okay. So I don't know if Gavin can actually utilise an extension lead or from somewhere with my charger. Oh, Gavin's brought his laptop in for me. Are you watching it elsewhere or? Yeah, you're okay here. Okay. Okay, so that's okay. So I popped that on there. I'm now going to start matte and layering my images onto this one as well. So I know the time's getting on, but we're almost there now, almost finished with quite a few of the cards. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to place that there. I'll leave. So there we go. I don't know if I have to scan, but I hope everybody is still enjoying it and watching somebody else craft. I like watching people craft. Find it relaxing. Find it more relaxing than doing it myself. Yeah. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to go 1, 2, 3, 4 the large ones. Okay, then so then what I'm going to do, I'm going to centralize this to the card. So it's been matte and layered like that, and then the sentiment can go on the red matte and layer. going to do, where the top of the sentiment is, I'm actually going to put so the sentiment is that way, so at the top and the back, I'm just going to remove the back of the foam pads, and this is going to hang down the bottom, central, like that. So that is your 8x8 card. Okay, and again I could add string, rope and whatever else onto that. Okay, so that's that one. I know time's going on now. Okay. Oh, thank you for all the likes and loves. Gone. So the last two cards are pretty quick. Okay. So I'm gonna blast these now. I'm gonna go whipping through them, because I know time's getting on. So the 6x6 gatefold card is the next one on my list. So this was the one that opened up. Okay, and what we need to do with 6x6, we've cut the card, we're going to cut a piece of bread. Just going to check what I've got. So I've got this, and I can get 2 out of that. So I'm going to cut the red card at 7 by 14.5, but I need 2 of these. So 7, 14, 14. Okay, so that's them 2. And then I need one piece that's 8.5 by 8.5. Now let's have a look what I've got here. 8.5. So these are still bits that have come off from previous pieces. So 8.5 by 8.5. And then I need a bit of mirror card. Which need to be 6.5 by 14. So I'm going to cut 1 6.5 by 14 out of that one, which is a matinee for that. 6.5 by 14, yes. That's right. So my red pieces earlier on, they should have been 7 by 14.5, which is what I actually said, but I actually cut them at 14. But I got down to a card yet by 14.5. Okay, so there's my 2 red pieces. I've got 1 gold piece, and I need to cut another piece of gold. Plenty of this gold. So that was 6.5 by 14. This is my second piece. Put that to the side. Then I need a piece of white. Third white card. 6 by 13, 2 pieces. 6 by 13. And that's 6 by 13. So this is the second piece that I had left earlier on. So that's that white piece, that's that white piece. I've got that bit there. Then what we're going to do, we're going to take the topper card, So we're going to take the topper with the bolts on. Okay, that's going to go on that one. In the top left corner with bolts, use the sentiment, push the bolt out, it's your birthday, push the bolt out, it's your birthday, and we're going to use that sentiment. And that's that from that sheet. And then with the bit we have left here, obviously we've cut the bottom, we've cut the top, we take a pencil, we mark from the top left down the left hand side to 13 centimetres, and we mark from the bottom right up the right hand side to 13 centimetres, and then what we're going to do, we're going to cut from the 13 centimetre mark on the right to the bottom left, and from the bottom left 13 centimetre to the top right. And when we cut them out in the guillotine, it'll give us two triangles, one with a stripe at the bottom and one with a stripe at the top. Okay, so it'll give us that. So basically we've cut it like that, and then you add a bit of waste cut that comes from the middle. Okay, so this is going to get fitted onto them. So let's mat and layer them. So like I said, this card is a pretty quick card, to be honest with you. So red, so I don't know if everybody's gone home or whether we're still got watchers. If you're still watching, say hello. I know it's coming up to tea time and people might be hungry. Just going to put the matting layers on. Okay, that's going to go on there. That just fits on top of there, and then we go to the other side. After the live as it's tea time. Yep, that's not a problem. If you are watching later, then if you comment, we probably might see it on Facebook. So I'm just going to keep putting this one together. Bit of white. So this one goes together pretty quick. And I wanted extra gold top and bottom on this one. I didn't cut the card wrong. That's how I wanted it. Okay, so now we have it, so we've got the two corners, and then I'm going to stick this piece onto there, so that goes on flat, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to turn that around like that. Okay, then I also need a little bit of a matte layer for this one as well. Okay, so with this one I'll just do it just to give it a little bit of a red border. It's so easy to control these scissors as well, on the edge. Put my sentiment. So this sentiment says, push the bolt out, it's your birthday. So the reason I chose the boats. So that is going to go along the top like that. That is going to go along the bottom like that. But I'm going to connect them on different sides. Okay, so on the, once I've turned these around to the back end, if I want to stick this sentiment on this side, then I need to put my foam pads on this side. So there's my two foam pads there. So when I flip it over, they'll stick to this side. And on this image, I want to stick from that side so that it'll stick on this side. If that makes sense. So you've got to do it the opposite way because it's upside down. Okay. So I'm going to go and bring that in, centralize that, stick that on like that. Centralize the sentiment. That's stuck that way. So when you open it up, then it actually opens up both ways like that. Okay, and it looks nice from both sides. So that is my gatefold card, and then the last one is another simple pimple one, and this is the last card now. The cards are amazing, and you've made so many. Yeah, there's lots of cards on this, and it just shows that just from one Hunkydory kit that you can make so many cards just by adding a few extra pieces of card and adding your own card bases as well. So the last card, we've got an A5 trimmed card, which we've cut to 26.5 and then scored at 11 centimeters, which gives us that overlap card. Okay. So what we've got a few things left. We've got this piece of card that came from the backing card. So what we need to do, so take the A4 card and cut landscape, yeah, then place on scoreboard. We've done that. Cut the mirror card first. So let's cut mirror card to 11 by 20.5. Alright, so let's see if I got any 11 by 20.5. So 11, no, that's not 11, so I'll go into another piece. 11 by 20.5. That's for the front there. Okay. Then we've got 3 by 20.5. So let's cut out the 20.5 and then cut a strip of 3. That is for the piece there. Okay. Then we've got 2 pieces at 8 by 6. So 2 pieces at 8 by 6. Right, so that's going to come out of this. 6. Yeah. So we've got to cut that at 8. And then turn that around and cut that at 6. And that one's already 6. So I've now got 2 pieces of mirror card there. Okay. Okay. By 6, right. Then we need some white card. Okay, so the white card is going to be cut. Did have a bit of white card left. Just to the side here. And the white card needs to be 10.5, which it is, by 20. And 2.5 by 20. And now I have got another little piece there. 20 by 2.5. That goes on there. So that's there. Then we need to cut some red card. Got plenty of little bits of red card here. So 9.5 by 19.5. And then 2.5 2 centimeters by 19. Just give me that pattern there. So two by 19. So that's 2 by 19.5. And then 2 pieces at 7.5 by 5.5. Okay, I hope that didn't interfere with any of the video. And then out of the strip of backing card that you've got left here, it's now time for my mock-up. We've cut 2 pieces, okay, at 7.5. So we've just cut 2 pieces at 7.5. 2 pieces at 7. 2 pieces at 7 by 5. 2 pieces at 7 by 5. Out to that bit, and that's the last of your second backing card. And then we're going to use the long strip that came from across the top there. So obviously that's already a certain size. Okay. And we just cut a little bit off the end so we can mat and layer in there. So I'll give you the size of that. So that's 18.5. And then we've got one more image on your topper, which we need that as well. Okay. Which, because it's got the gold, we don't need anything else on that. Okay. So let's put this together, and then that is this card all finished as well. So let's slide that off. Let's slide that off and start mat and layering. So we'll start with the big gold. Then the white. Then the red. more white to the sides, lovely. Then we're going to layer up these topper things. So red on the gold. So we're doing it slightly different to those toppers because we want to see the pattern from the white bit on this one. Okay, so that's one for there. Let's do these ones. White on the red. Okay, so some foam pads. Going to go run down a bit quick then. That's fine. 2 on that one. 2 on that one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop that on the top there. Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Annette. There are lots and lots of cards. But I wanted to do this. I've been meaning to do this video for a long time. I did wonder about just doing the video and then posting it, but we've done it as a live. So all I'm doing is matte and layering all my colour pieces onto what I have. I'm going to put that on foam pads. Yeah, so half ones. So just putting that on there. If we lost a connection a bit there, I'm awful sorry. It's just our neighbour trying to phone us. She had her car on our drive since this morning because she got a skip outside her house. She's probably just phoned to say thank you, but we don't mind. And then what I'm going to do, I'm just going to place that there with some foam pads. So I'll put one there and one there. And the reason I haven't got too close top and bottom is because I want them to sit at the same level as those two. I'm just going to bring that down a bit, centralise it like that. And then obviously if you want to do a little sentiment, if you want to do a little sentiment, I would just cut 2 little gold pieces. I'd stamp happy up there, birthday there, on a bit of matte and layer, white and gold. Just a bit of that. and that would be, obviously you can cut these on your guillotine. I'm just cutting it down here just to show the look when it does go on your card. So we only need it to be about that size. So that's one. So then what we've got two little pieces of that. Which would be happy and birthday. Okay. So stamp happy on the top, birthday on the bottom. And that would be that card. And obviously if I lift that up now, it's going to open, it's going to slide everywhere. But literally that bit is the front, and then you've got the side, the front bit inside it opens like that. Okay. So let's lay all these out in front of you now so you can just see all of the cards that we've done. So it's been a bit of a marathon, but I've enjoyed it. I hope you have. So we've got this card, which was the last one we did. Then we done the gatefold. And we did the 8x8. Just lean over. Sorry to go on the camera. Then we did the A5 landscape. Then we did the A6 landscape. Then we did the tall one, the DL, and then we did the A5 one as well. So there we are, all 7 cards. Okay. So just to say, that is what we've done, and hope you enjoyed them. And like I said, don't be afraid to try different things with your toppers, sets and stuff like that, because you can do lots and lots of cards. And by adding all this in, I used 7 A4 white cards, 300 gram, made my own card bases, 1 SRA3 white 300 gram, the 1 topper pack, 3 mirror cards, and 5.5 sheets of red card, which in the grand total came to £8.30. So £8.30 to do all those cards, and £8.30 is counting your envelopes as well. Okay, so that is how much that would cost you to make all them. So thank you, Annette, glad you enjoyed it, and hope you join us again for some more lives. So thank you again for watching us. Sorry it's been a bit of a long one, but I thoroughly enjoyed them, and I hope you have too. Okay, thank you, bye. Thanks everyone, bye now, have a good night.